Oh, wait, I gotta go.
We're live. There we go. Welcome back, everyone. Episode 17 of 40K Frontiers. Titled Several False Starts after what has been several false starts, but we're getting there. We've got there. With us today, we've got the ever wonderful, ever beautiful Mr. Benny Way. How you doing, buddy?
Good, mate. How are you?
Oh, better now you're here, buddy.
Yeah, I'm good, feeling good to be here.
But he took a while to get here.
I did. 8 o'clock's always like, it's just, I never get there at 8. 8:15, I'm all right, but not 8. Never.
Well, you weren't all right for 8:15 this time, dude.
Yeah. Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Are you one of those people in real life you have to tell you like when an event starts at 7 p.m.? Like you have to. Oh,
no,
it
I'm
starts
usually
at 30. No,
I'm usually fine. Like 8 o'clock's the kids. You know, I've got to get the kids to bed, so I could like kind of kick them in there. But so that's why I never usually get there. Usually on the couch to, like 7:45. So it's like, come on, gotta get to bed. And then, yeah, there you go. Just end up late every time.
Fair enough. As well, we got Mr. Towse. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, cool. I got veggies on my knee because I fell over it climbing.
Mr. Coordinator himself.
Hey, it was nothing to do with me not being coordinated. I trusted the foot, but like they're slippy, dude. Like I just went to stand up and my shoe didn't grip. It is not my fault. Not my fault. I point the right way. Yeah, but no, otherwise, life's good. I am flying off to Auckland tomorrow for the Kraken GT. I'm going earlier than needed. I haven't packed yet. Sounds good. Yeah. All right, someone else talk.
Sorry, lads. I've just knocked a lot of minis off my paint desk. A lot, like about 9 fiends. All right, and they are like everywhere down there.
Everyone else listening. This is after Ben is like, he gets here and he's like, all right, let me go fill my drink bottle up. Sam's webcam was freezing. I was all right. All I had to do was go get something to ice my knee, I think. Like, and these guys are just like, oh.
It's just falling down. I've had a bit of a clumsy day too. I'm not going to lie to you. A couple of things at work as well. So yeah, I'm not shocked. But I'll pick them up. I'll wait until we get into a flow of things, and I might just disappear underneath my desk. And there's just a lot of things down there, right? And a lot of heads and stuff like that. So I've got to sort that out.
Dude, at this rate, one of your kids is going to come knocking on the door, being like, "Help! Something's going wrong."
I'll just be like, "Look, I'll get the minis, and I'll be right there." So.
Alrighty.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, there you go. There was no hair there. It was all a facade before. It looked like I had hair, but I didn't. So,
Tim in the chat saying Frontiers coordination disappeared with Ben's hair. So, I mean, like, pretty fucking close. Pretty close.
Pulling his hair out was his coping mechanism. That was what was keeping him together. But he's run out of that.
It wasn't me. I've had it shaved before, and it's been fine. My wife was like, "I'm not ready for you to do that." Because I was like, I'm just done with it. And she's like, no, keep the hair. I'm like, there's none there. She's like, please. I'm like, okay. And then it went on for about 6 months to a year. And then I was just like, just came home and it was shaved. So about 4 weeks ago. So yeah, it had to be done. It's quite glorious.
Has to be done. In honor of Movember, right, Ben? That's definitely what it's been done for.
I'm pretty sure I can't even still grow a moustache to this day.
Oh,
that's a stitch up, isn't it? Meant to be like you get older and like the hair shifts from the top of your head to the bottom of your head. Like you get.
I've got a hairy chest. I've got a hairy chest, very hairy chest.
I don't know if that's like what we want.
No, it's not. It's really not. I'm referring more of it on my hair. But to be fair, I'm not. I would never ever want to grow a moustache or a beard anyway. So. Yeah, it's just I'm just not into him. Like I when I once did Movember and you couldn't see it because it was all blonde, so it was like, and it was barely out, and it was the most uncomfortable month of my life. I was like, I'm happy to donate money, but I'm not growing a moustache. I can't do it.
All right, cool. Anyway, just like we can't stay on topic.
Moving on. But for clarity's sake, so we talked about Movember. So people who don't know, it's probably like an Australian Southeast Asia thing. Every November, people like just grow a moustache in honor of it's a cancer of some sort. Sorry, I can't remember the type, but it's like just a charity fundraiser. So people do obviously various things along the way, and one of the ways they do is obviously growing a moustache. I know the Normal Blokes, so a big 40K podcast, they actually do a fundraiser every year, and they give away. So this year they're giving away an Imperial Knight that's been commission painted. So I know last year they gave away a Wraith Knight and some other things as well. So donate to a great cause, and people are doing great things for it. So never a bad idea to do some charity work. So
it's a great cause. It's a great cause. Prostate cancer, I think it is. So.
Yeah, prostate cancer. Yes. So, but let's go back on topic. So on tonight's show, we got a bit of a lighter show in terms of topics. So Towse had the Uni Games #2. So obviously earlier in the year, hosted his own RTT style event. Now he's new and improved Uni Games #2 with a new terrain series. So talk to them about that. We'll highlight the Kraken GT, which is happening this weekend, which, as Towse has mentioned, he's traveling to up in Auckland, New Zealand, as well as local Australian guy, Adam Camilleri. You may have heard of him. He's a small time player. And then locally in Canberra, we have our first ever ITC GT and for a very, very long time. So be highlighting that and talking about that, which I'll be TOing. So as well as answering listener questions along the way. So, but yeah, Towse, so back to you. So what have you been doing yourself lately? So hurt yourself, rock climbing. What else has been happening?
This is my cue to get some themes, all right? While he's going on one. I'll be back in a sec.
Dude, now I should actually be brief for a bit. What have I been doing? So I laser cut some WTC terrain to take up to the team in Auckland so that they have a practice set. I don't know whether or not by the last show I'd reported the fact that I'd made some. I had some help. It was cool. And I ran my second Uni Games event. I went and accidentally won my own event. So that was fun. I think we might have covered that last time.
He's worse, this guy.
Before or after? Hey?
You're the worst winning your own event.
I gave the prize money to the birthday boy, Ben. Like, what do you mean? I don't know. Yeah, so playing games. Played some more in the Vibe Check lead. Played Henry, French dude who started recently. He said a date in December is when he started playing 40k. So he's going pretty well. Like he had GSC and there were some shenanigans. It was conversion where like my warlord is a knight. So we joked around saying like he's gonna die, and turn 2 he comes in and like I boss some saves, and then he fails his dread check to shoot with some more stuff. That was funny. Yeah, he was a great dude. He offered to help coach and stuff for WTC. Yeah, things. Have I covered long enough for you to get your models, Ben?
I'm all sorted, mate. All done.
All right, cool. What have you been up to other than just like losing all your marbles in coordination?
Well, I'm always doing that, but I've been pretty busy in life in general, and been busy with 40k. We've got some New South Wales Masters coming up, which I'm running. So I've run teams a few weeks ago, so just been doing a lot of organising, and we've got the end of the circuit, the statewide circuit that down 40k run, and we're just finalising the end of that, which is actually the finals on the same day as Masters. So that'll be fun. And yeah, I'm going to the Canberra event that Sam's TO this weekend, so that should be fun. But also there's an invitational the weekend after that, and then a couple of weeks later it's Masters, so which I'm also playing at. So yeah, I've got a few events on. The invitational I'm still a bit iffy with work if I can get there. The first one, but then Masters I'll be able to make. I've got to make that. So yeah, I'll be there at that one. So yeah, just busy. I've got some 40k. I'm a bit in limbo of my factions, which I'm sure we might talk a bit about later. But yeah, don't really know what I'm playing. Kind of not really happy with a lot of factions and stuff like that. But we seem to have lost Towse's video.
Yeah, that's deliberate. I'm sorting something out.
Okay, all good. He's probably doing something with his frozen vegetables on his leg or something like that. Some weird with him.
No,
I only imagine what's going on.
Honestly, I use my phone as a webcam because I'm professional, and I was trying to log in to check my email because you reminded me about a thing for my event, and so I can't do that with two-factor authentication on my phone.
Okay.
Getting a text.
Well,
so that's where we're at.
So I have just submitted some sisters lists that I didn't take me very long to write, so I'm looking forward to it. It took me about half an hour, 25 minutes, half an hour. So we're gonna go hard.
25 Zeph, easy peasy.
Yeah, that's literally what it was. I tried for the 30, couldn't get the 30, went to 25. And yeah, so that'll be fun. Played a game versus Chris Wright on Tuesday, yesterday, I should say. And
Did he take you out to dinner first?
no, well, he was playing his Swift Strikes list, so a variation of what he took to WTC, and we
Swift
played
Strikes,
Dawn of War. Yeah,
is it the
ignore
advanced
cover.
and battle focus? And yeah.
Okay. So
what's the like punch you harder one? Vengeful or something?
I'm not even sure of that one. I haven't come across it.
Okay, cool. I'll let you keep going and stop.
Yeah, only Yunari I've come across. But then basically he basically it was I went first as well, so it wasn't ideal. And I just got absolutely ground to dust. Basically, I don't really know what else to put it. It was brutal. It was a bad matchup, and then obviously it being Chris Wright didn't help, and just Dawn of War going first wasn't happening.
Oh, yeah, still a good experience on the way, and he's been for a lot, obviously. So, obviously looking forward to you catching up on this weekend for the event. So,
yeah, looking forward to that. I can't wait.
Yeah, I think the local meta hasn't seen Bloody Rose Sisters since I was playing them, so it's been a while. So, well.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to see a true representation of Bloody Rose Sisters, but we'll see how we go, eh?
I'll see a representation nonetheless. So easy done.
I'm there, right? I'm there.
Yeah. That's it. So for myself, so recently hosted the ACT Masters. So we had a Masters invitational event. So the top 16 throughout the year were invited to play in a one-day tournament, and Chaos Knights took it out. So Tim Evers took it out with 13 War Dogs Chaos Knights. So not only in New Zealanders dominating with Towse, but also here in Canberra. So that was pretty cool. And then Custodes came second, and then in third was Harlequins, Twilight Harlequins. So those people have been invited to go to the Ozmasters, which is next year. So basically, for each state and territory in Australia, the top 3 or 5 get invited to the best of Australia and New Zealand event. So it's exciting. So those gentlemen will get the chance to play there. So whoop whoop. And then busy moving and packing. So new studio, as you can see here. So moved house and all that fun stuff with it. No, it's not fun for anyone who hasn't done it. It's a pain. But then setting up for my first GT this weekend. So exciting times ahead. And yeah, just been doing all that jazz. So
nice.
Happy days indeed. All right, cool. So moving on to the main topic. So recap, I guess, a recent event. So Towse, you had the Uni Games #2. How was that all about?
Are we going to that, or we're talking about what we're talking about, and then you've got a plug? You're confusing me. We're deviating from the spreadsheet. Alrighty. We've lost Ben. This is going well today. Anyway, my event. So I ran a second Uni Games. So I decided, in my wisdom of not checking when things were, to put it right in the middle of the 2 weeks of exam weeks at uni, largely because that's when I could get a room booking. But that meant that a bunch of the uni students, maybe all of them, that could have shown up, could no longer show up because uni exams conflicting with tournament. There was one guy whose last exam was the day before, but he decided to instead play the new God of War that came out the same day, which, pretty fair, to be honest. So fired with, I think, 18 rather than 22 the last time. But there were some new faces as well, so it's cool. I am looking to have a 2-day, which hopefully I've got a thing for. I was meant to hear back from a booking person, which is why I was checking my email, but I haven't. Going for bigger, couple of days, going to see if people from up north want to come down to that one, things like that. So this one, I tried out some more terrain features, types of terrain. So I had a couple of GW style tables. So that was the first time I got to play on them. I also had some Eldari ruin tables. So they were like a quarter of an ellipse rather than an L, making up the sort of ruin. So like a squished circle, 1/4 of that. I think those were broadly pretty good. There were some angles that I could improve on, in weird angles that meant you couldn't hide too much in deployment zones if someone stood on the line in the open and went first. But yeah, things to work on. Yeah, so event also ran fairly smoothly. There were a couple more hiccups in this one compared to some of the previous runs, but we managed to get through all right, and yeah, had fun with Custodies playing at the same time as TOing. I think that's the general gist of a recap.
Yeah, fantastic. And on screen for anyone who's watching live, I have some photos of Towse's Eldar ruin. So you designed that Eldar ruin set, I know you've been talking about it for a while. So looks lovely. Obviously, you've got some, Eldar inscriptions on it. It's a bit like a U-ish shape, but like more a bent, not super bent. So a slight curve, right?
Yeah, kind of. Like it's pretty similar to an L, but like if you round the corner off, like it functions basically the same. And they've got solid blocking walls. I've put pictures various different places in like the Discord if you end up joining there, or like if you're listening and interested, you can message me one of the ways, like Messenger or Discord, and I'll be like, cool, here's the pictures. If you can't catch this live. But yeah, basically making different types of terrain. Yeah, and so the GW things, I basically put the ruins I've already made, the L's, onto different bases, and they function as GW ones. That was more or less.
Did you manage to play on any of them?
Yeah, I played round one on one of the GW tables.
How did you find it? I'm interested. I'm really, really curious to know.
Because have you not played on them before?
Nah, never.
Yeah.
They look terrible for me. Like I could be totally wrong, but they visually it looks like there's not much terrain. But I know that terrain doesn't play like that after playing as many loads of events and
yeah. No, I think
events. You know what I mean? Like I know.
Yeah, I think it plays fairly well. Like I went second against Towse with a whole bunch of So Connor had an absolute fucking Chad list of quad hammerhead, triple riptide, double ghost kill. But because Custodies with a redeploy, basically there were no targets for him. He got to shoot like a ghost kill at something and it didn't do much. Or something to that effect. He also was like, yeah, all right, we'll see what sticks, and ran his stuff forward, like came forward, so he'd definitely get angles the next turn if I tried to be cute and hide. I was like, okay, we'll commit, and I rushed forward with some borderline charges, managed to hit all of them, so that was pretty one-sided after the result, but I definitely could have been very dicey if I didn't. Some of the highlights in that would have also been the we had a tank blow up another of his tanks, which wiped like all of the drones, killed several of my dudes, some other stuff. And my bike captain took a railgun to the face. But yeah, the terrain, it's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know the height of the actual GW ones. Because I couldn't hide my bike sort of inside of on the base of the ruin, I couldn't really hide from tall things like riptides or knights.
Right, I feel like that's actually pretty realistic, though, isn't it? Like of the boards, because you look at some of the corners of them. Look at some of the corners of them, and they look like you could put nothing behind them. You know, nothing
so
half bit like decent size.
Yeah, so you can hide infantry pretty well, but like on the base, something tall getting up close will start to be able to get line of sight to inside of the ranks on some of them. So if you're hiding on the ruin, you're not completely impervious, like to tall stuff like knights and planes if you're touching it. And yeah, and there's obviously behind the base you can play on. I played on Hammer and Anvil, so like I don't know for Dawn of War versus other things. I did the I picked this up from Anthony and from StatCheck, and because Mythicos, his local, they play GW Ruins, but basically they play whichever layout has like the two small ruins in the middle. They play that layout, but just you can rotate the like big square based U's 90 degrees based on which way you're facing. So like Dawn of War would be 90 degrees to Hammer and Anvil, and like quarters I'd rotate one of the two, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that works fairly all right. and because I wasn't sure what I thought about it as well, but it is actually fairly nice to play on.
Okay. Interesting. I'd love to play on it one time. Just to give it a go.
Yeah,
Well, maybe in the future we might see it. Hopefully, maybe one day. Maybe
Dude,
one
just
day.
come over to the next event, Ben. Fly over for a weekend.
Easy.
We'll have a set.
Yeah. I know that Carl hassles me every week to get over there. So one day I'll come over.
Sounds good.
Oh, you had well, we had the chance this weekend, Benny. I mean, one of the fellow Australians flew over for the Kraken GT. There we go, segue. So this weekend also, as a massive GT, is a Kraken GT. So a big 6-round event hosted by the Kraken Wargaming crew out of Auckland. So shout out to those dudes and the Kraken podcast. So they highlight the competitive 40k scene in the north side of New Zealand, but all of New Zealand for the most part, and host a bunch of events like yourself, Ben. So and a very own Adam Camilleri is flying over to do
is he?
He is
nice.
indeed.
Yeah.
So and obviously as well, the South's best, or maybe one of the South's best, and Mr. Towse is going over as well. So, you excited, Towse? How are you feeling? How are the boys feeling?
The boys?
You got some friends going up as well, right?
I don't think so. I think I'm the only guy coming from down south.
No, Carl's coming from. I think Carl. No, he's not. He's not south.
From Wellington, though. That counts as north, dude.
Does it? Right. Okay.
As far as IKEA, that counts as north because they're on the North Island. It has north in the name.
I heard he's a pretty mean Emperor's Children player.
Okay, I could just be wrong. Carl might be from down here. Sorry, dude.
I've got no. Don't worry. I wouldn't trust what I'm talking about, mate. I've already made some terrible New Zealand geographical errors on this show before, so I don't back myself either. So don't worry about that.
Yeah. So basically, no, I think I'm the only person coming from the South Island. I could be wrong. There's going to be Alex Cameron, who was from the South Island. He's still like Southern in spirit. But yeah, so no, it should be good. I'm keen. It'll be cool to travel up and play a singles event in Auckland because I've been there twice. I think both were this year, but that was for teams events. So
nice.
Yeah. That should be a good laugh. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
is it?
You go, Ben.
So I was going to say, what are you expecting to see? What's the do you have any insights of what kind of, I wouldn't say so much what the meta is, but what are the kind of prominent players are playing for this event? Like, kind of tell us a little bit about what you're worried about and people.
Yeah, I had a bit of a look through. There was some.
What's Camilleri playing for a start?
He's got the dangles, dude. He is running Ravenwing.
Yeah, he loves them, doesn't he?
So I don't know what happens to that. It might be, if I played him, it might be coin flippy. It might be like I can just run at them and take.
Are you taking the war dogs?
Punch everything. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. So I submitted a slight variety of list for my list where I had a few more chain cleavers and I paid another CP to have the my autocannon dude sitting in the backfield. He's quite juiced up because I think there's at least one Tau list with Sunsharks, and so this guy I'm hoping can just like really put a number on them, like split fire and maybe kill one and hurt another sort of thing, and then have chain cannons finish them off. Because like he'll be hitting on 2s, wounding on 3s, 3 damage. Yeah. So that's the like minor list variations, but basically I'm running the same sort of thing. I didn't see any sort of names I recognize, which there could be good players that I don't know, with like any other flyers I was concerned about. So that's nice because my list doesn't super like them. There was the Waddler. James Waddle has, I think, like almost exactly my previous list of the 13 War Dogs, except he's made them as House Korvax. So I guess how that goes for him. Yeah, so they don't hit as hard. They can potentially go faster. They can run through walls.
I love that. It's so cool.
Yeah, so I don't know how that'll go for him. I haven't honestly looked too much into Infernal Household stuff because just basically having Bloody Rose and +2 wounds on all your War Dogs seems just broadly pretty good. So that's why I went for House Hippotrax and have stayed on it.
I can't really argue with that.
But yeah, so Chaos Knights are apparently the most popular faction as well, with 4 of them. So there's 2 of those lists. There's I think Ivan has his he has a Chaos Megara, he has the Abominant of like you can't kill me, I think, and then Spear generic, like there's some carnivores and stalkers and such. But yeah. So what was there? Some people dropped. There are a couple of people with some Votan, which is interesting. I don't know how that'll go. So the one of them I'm most worried about would be if I pair Hamish Reeve, because he's a pretty good player. Like I played him when I traveled to Wellington, and we got the Knight's Mirror, and I clinched up as I went second into a Castellan and a Headsman's Mark Megara, and it managed to survive that turn and then come out on the other side and win. I don't quite know how that happened. But yeah, so that could be spooky. So he's got like the full double land fortress, like he's up there with and Ymir, and like that could be spooky. Hayden Korich is on some Eldari nonsense. I'm going to run at them and shoot them with chain cannons and hope that it goes away. You know, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And so this is the first time, I guess, the full Votan release will be allowed for you guys in New Zealand. So I saw there's 3 Votan players, and most of them have got some of the new stuff.
Yeah. So who was the third? Because there's Dan Lister, who had his, like, I think everything counts as having 1 grudge on it and some other stuff. There was Hamish with his like pretty meta Ymir. Do you remember who had the third one?
Yeah, I'm gonna probably butcher the name. It's Tika Kahoa. Actually, no, that's the wrong person. There's another person who hasn't got a faction listed that was Votan. So apologies.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Anyway. All right.
Yeah, that's
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna do. It'll be spooky. So the event's using player place terrain as well. So it's like the Adelaide Uprising Kraken terrain. I think there's a central ruin. No, there's a 4-inch dead zone in the middle. So like a 4-inch diameter, 8-inch circle dead zone in the middle, where no one can place terrain to stop the first turn drop being able to cover an objective. There is 6 pieces of terrain per side, but you only place 5 of them, so you've got a bit of choice into like you can leave something off. That seems cool. I think like player place could be quite nice for War Dogs, because there's the 4-inch minimum gap between anything, so I can fit my base everywhere on the table. And it means I can like have a really nice deployment zone set up where like I can have a couple of angles to hide a few knights that I care about from like easy shooting, but not actually interrupt their movement. I'm assuming I'll be able to do this. And then like have the rest of the space clear, because it's really annoying on tables that have like good terrain or WC tables where like it gets really choke pointy in my DZ. So like if it was on it's really easy to move block me on my side of the table if it's non-player placed and something has like some jackals or something that can move fast. But yeah. I can't remember if there's anything else to bring up. If you stall for a little bit, I can probably find a faction breakdown.
That's all right. Yeah. So, and on screen for people who are watching live, there's a photo of some of the terrain that they'll be using at the event. So, Kraken Wargaming have their own terrain set. So, very similar, as Towse mentioned, to the Uprising set. So there's big L-shaped ruins with some containers and windows and stuff like that. So, and using a play system, which is a bit unique for, I guess, the South Pacific. But I know they've been doing it for a little while now, and they've got a good system for it. So, interesting to see how it goes. Ben, so listening to, I guess, some of the factions and the players there, do you have any predictions of who may win the event?
No, I think it's really interesting to see how. I don't really know how it goes over there. I'm not very good at predicting this kind of thing. Anyway, I do feel like the Votan will catch a few people off guard, probably more than it won't. If you know what I mean. I wonder. It'd be interesting to see who he's been practicing into, and if they're good players as well, they can perform and overcome that, because I think like it's a very daunting prospect, and I think there's a lot of reputation now they've got, as well. Even though they've been like brought down a peg, I still think they're so strong. They're so strong.
And so I've got a faction breakdown if anyone's.
Let's have a look at it. Give us a rundown.
So,
give us some top. Just give us the top 5 factions.
I don't have the. So we've got 4 of each Tau and Chaos Knights, maybe something else. There are 3 Guard. I don't actually know if we're using the new Guard or not with this. Probably not.
No, because this sub's
we've got
already
3
happened,
craft
right? So-
world. Yeah. 3 guard, 3 craft world, 2 knights, 2 custodes, 2 necrons, 3 votan, which we covered already, 2 bugs, 2,000 suns, 3 demons. Like, there's a pretty fair spread of things. Like, in terms of
Yeah,
super
it's pretty
factions,
good, isn't
13
it?
Xenos,
Yeah.
4 Eldari, 10 Chaos, 8 Imperium, non-marine, 6 Marines. Like, there's a big spread of armies and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, fantastic.
good.
Well, so I guess for myself, Towse, I think you'll do well. I believe in you. I think you got this.
Yeah, I want Towse. I back Towse. I back
Yeah.
Carl Pierce, and Towse.
Yeah, and then we had a former guest of the show, Dan Lister. Shout out to him. He won the one with 100 Black Templar neophytes.
What a champion!
Black Templar
Crusaders.
dudes, and he's running Votan, so I believe in him. So happy days.
Yeah.
Towse, do you have any other top competitors that you think may have a good chance?
No, I can't remember. Oh yeah, that shout out to Michael Taylor. He's one of the Kraken guys. I don't really want to face him because he has like a bunch of Custodes dreads and Shield Guard, which like is going to be sad for a bunch of my AP2 guns, and like his list I don't want to face. And I can't remember what Finn's has because I know he submitted High Fleet Kraken as his faction, but is not playing High Fleet Kraken. I think he's just repping the Kraken Wargaming. So Finn, sort your life out. But yeah, no. If I have to pick someone else, it'll be Hamish to be worried about. There's probably some other people I am not paying attention to or respecting, but we'll find out the hard way. So yeah.
Love that.
Like everything in life, you always find out the hard way.
What are you talking about your GT, mate?
Yeah.
But Benny, we've got a question in the chat. So Mr. Towbridge has asked. So you can change the law and swap allegiances for 2 legions, 1 loyalist and 1 traitor. Who do you choose? So starting with you, Mr. Towse, what do you think?
Alpha Legion for both. I'm stalling. I'll give a proper answer in a second. Ben, help cover me. I said I'm stalling.
I'd love to see. And this is going to sound corny, but I'd love to see a proper, proper break off, proper Dark Angels.
Have we lost Ben?
Love that. I think it'd just be Ben, amazing for
what you said cut out. Like it was too heretical, and your camera froze. We didn't get the audio.
Yeah, I think I'm having some net issues, but I actually would love to see like a proper.
If I'll cover for Ben and his like questionable internet, guys, we're having several false starts. But Sam. So I reckon Space Wars and Thousand Suns, if they swapped, that's what I think would be cool. Like Thousand Suns, like go, all right, we're sorting our life out and we're coming back. We're gonna sort things out. Maybe Magnus sits on the golden toilet seat. Who knows? And yeah, I don't know. I thought it would then be funny if the Space Wolves go rogue and too violent.
That's not a bad question. Tim the Sorcerer does say Space Wolves and Thousand Suns. Yes, that's his answer. What would I do? I think Wordbearers. Like imagine if Lorgar just didn't get a little mad or upset. Maybe he will stay loyalist. But who would switch? Who would switch then? I don't know. Well, I don't know. Raven Guard. They seem kind of cool. Like I'm a big Night Lords fan, so if Raven Guard, Blood Angels, maybe Blood Angels would be some really like heretical Blood Angels.
Be cool. They'd just be another World Eaters, basically.
No, fantastic question. And if you have any questions for the people in the chat, or if you have any questions after the episode, please feel free to post them and send them to us, and we'll be sure to include them. But yes, heading on to this weekend's event. So No Retreat GT, so the first 2-dayer and first ITC GT event in Canberra for many, many years. So I think actually since 2020, where CanCon was like the event per se, like it's been that long since a big 2-day event in Canberra. So exciting times, and we've got 32 people and everyone's signed up and ready to rock and roll, and Benny Way is attending, and I'll be TOing, which is a thing. So no, TOing is fun. It's enjoyable, and it's good to see people get behind this sort of event, and are very, very keen for it.
Dude,
using
Sam,
the
you should
download
just play as well. You should play as well. Here, it helps you win.
No, I have
You can
standards.
rig it like Towse.
I did nothing. I am not organized to do any rigging. I just pressed the buttons on BCP. Dude, honestly, I was
Yes.
like pretty low on sleep, and like I think my autopilot just like, yeah, okay. Custodies played a remarkably like light Harlequins when you got bikes in a redeploy, right? Because it's like have some things aggressively, some things back. Go like, oh yeah, I can make this work. Redeploy wide, have Trajan to reshuffle your stances for the katars. To go into the advance and shoot one and be like, cool, I'm over here, bikes all the way up, like aggressive on the flank, shoot stuff and go, okay, I think I've killed enough to be safe. Just the like sleep deprived autopilot brain saw that stuff way better than expected and just committed.
That's okay. We'll forgive you eventually. But yeah, showing on screen, we've got some photos of the terrain that we're using. So some of the WTC-esque terrain. So some forests and 2-story ruins with some 3-story fully line stop blocking. So all the tables will have these, which is fantastic. Nice to paint it, and yeah, it'd be good to have some like good quality terrain and exciting times. So yeah, but for the event, so 32 people. Tyranids are top faction with 5 people taking the faction.
I couldn't believe that when I saw that. Honestly, I was like, I didn't know you had that many Tyranid players down there. Out of 32, five's quite a lot. I know you've got Rowan. I know that they've got Rowan. I knew James was going, so I knew those 2 people were going. So I knew there was going to be 2 Tyranids. I had a Tyranids list that I'd previously written that I was thinking about taking, but just couldn't face play. I just need a palette cleanser. So
yeah, fair enough. But yeah, so the faction breakdown. So Votan, we got the full release of Votan. So we've got 3 of them. We've got 4 Imperial Guard before the Codex. Let's go. 4 Guard players. Happy days. 2 CSM,
Absolute
1 Sisters of Battle, 1 Imperial Knights, 2 Elder, 1 Dark Elder Drukari, 2 Necrons, 5 Nids, 3 Space Marines, 2 Death Guard, 2 Custodes, then 1 Orc, 1 Chaos Demons, 1 Chaos Knights, and 1 Tau. So a little bit of a lovely spread there with Tyranids followed by Imperial Guard as the top 2, as everyone expected.
Yeah, that's nuts. I love that. That's good. That's good. I'm looking forward to it.
And like as you mentioned, Ben, so you're heading to this event. So you're taking Sisters of Battle, Bloody Roses.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's been a while.
Decide to give it a spin.
Yeah, like I did say at the beginning of this season, I did like to a few mates and stuff that I was going to try and keep in touch with Sisters a little bit, and just try and take them out for a bit of a spin. Didn't do that literally up until about two or three weeks ago. So I think I played like 4 games of Sisters, maybe 5. It's good. They're good fun. But it's still a bit like, they're a bit slow, aren't they? They're not Tyranids. They're not as fun as Tyranids. They're just not as fun as Tyranids. And
a bit slow, Ben. Just like guaranteed 24 like inch threat range melee stuff. Nah, it's a bit slow. Doesn't quite do it for me.
You have not seen me roll miracle dice, mate. Like I do not really get 6s too often. So even when I'm re-rolling them once per battle round. But yeah, here we are.
Alrighty then.
Oh, Tim, your Bennett's got audible right. Yeah, look, I wouldn't expect it with me from Sisters, mate. That's for sure. So it is, but yeah, I'm looking forward to taking them out. It's nice playing something different. Actually, it's been quite enjoyable. You forget there's a lot of muscle memory with Sisters when you within a faction that you've played for, quite a long time, and then you drop and then you come back to them and you think, oh, I don't know if my brain's ready for this. I couldn't even begin to even know where to start, and then you kind of put them on, and then by turn 2 or 3, you're feeling all over it again. It's quite nice. It makes you feel quite good about the kind of the studying of the book you did before. I was like, first turn, I was a moment of gracing straight away. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Straight back to the miracle dice. I was like, I remember these. These are great.
Did you feel like you're like playing something else, like going to bugs? Did you have anything there that you learned that helped on your with Sisters, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
Like
I think bugs can go out and smash if they want, but they also can, like, certainly with the, like, as Tim said, the random kind of lists I've played before, there's also a lot of like tempo like you because with Tyranids you really need to run the tempo and you need to be in control. Tyranids are kind of always played like that, and obviously they have been very easy to be in control with, certainly before the nurse and stuff like that. But some of the lists I've run with, like the zone throat heavy, you really need to, it's more about like I guess like, because your resources only do certain things in different phases, like with the zone throats, with a lot of psychic and stuff like that, you learn how to pace out your threats a bit better and your damage. And a lot of my lists were a lot of chip damage based. So that was, bear in mind, because I didn't run a Flyrant since basically June till now. So that's worth, noting the kind of style that lists I've been playing. So having with Sisters, I tell you what, mate, their secondaries are just bonkers. Like I've been grinding banners and behind enemy lines out with Tyranids for a while, and then you go to Sisters and you're just like, all right, I'm just going to chill, and then you're going to come into me, and then we're going to play in the middle or just in front, and that's kind of fine. Like, I'm
going to advance 2 characters on the spot for 2 points this turn. Sounds good.
Yeah, that's right.
And then this other one's going to go sing a song on that objective, and then like, oh look, I scored a dozen secondary points. Sounds good. Your turn. Is that right?
It's a bit like, I mean, like I think like you can definitely see how. I still think you need to be to really push Sisters to the limit that everyone thought they were going to hit. You really need to know where your kind of game plan is and have a good path to making sure you're hitting points, because you need to recognize that tipping point of when you go, right, okay, I'm only going to get 11 on sacred grounds, and that's kind of where I'm sitting. I'm going to max leap of faith. I'm going to I'll get my shrine for 15, and you got to go, right, my secondaries here, I'm going to hit the 45, and then you can go, right, if he keeps on going with his secondaries, he's gonna cap 100. So you're just like, I'm looking forward to, and then that's when I guess with Sisters, you need, the skill is making sure you're in the right stage, or that like you've staged well enough and you're in the right part of the board to, when that time comes, to get it done. And I think the problem I've noticed with a few Sisters players is sometimes when they know they need to get it done, they've got no units near enough because they're just kind of not quick enough. So you've still got to have a progressive plan. Like with Tyranids, you can kind of go, right, I need to go. And you can just go. You can really shove, you can, I mean, certainly with 1 or 2 units you can with Tyranids. With like Sisters not having advance and charge, like that's, not ideal. And that's kind of why I went with a lot of Zephyrim in my list, was to have that 12-inch movement, and that's kind of like, as much as that sounds like, obviously, Ben, they're a really good piece, you want to use them. You want to use them and use them for what they're meant to be. Like they're a good piece, efficient unit. It's also, for me, it was like a little bit of a crutch, like to make sure I've got that burst. Do you know what I mean? When I need it, because I'm like, and because I need that still, because I'm going to need to get. It's almost there to dig myself out of a couple of mistakes, I think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. And it builds like consistency into your matchup, as you said. Like obviously, you said you've got the reroll miracle dice, so that way you can sort of, when you get those bad rolls, like, look, I can mitigate that a little bit and adjust for it. And like you always have that minimum 12 to move, then the charge. So you always have that 24-inch threat range. Whereas with a Repentia, when you advance and charge them, sometimes you don't go as far as you want, or you have that miracle dice to charge you want to use somewhere else. So even with the superior buff to 36 charge, sometimes it whiffs.
I can't justify the superior either. Like, and I've never kind of have done since I've played the new book. Now, to be clear, I do actually prefer the 8th edition book. It was too lent in too heavy to Retributors and Repentia. But I think, but honestly, you could build some of the best canonesses and the best characters in the game at that point in time with the 8th edition book. The stuff you could do with
and with the canonesses, just spend CP.
Yeah, like the things you could do with canonesses, 50-point characters, and what you could make them into was just absolutely incredible. Do you know what I mean? Like I felt more. I preferred that book, but in the new Sisters book, they definitely feel slower, even though they've kind of side graded a lot of units and kind of spread a lot of the power from those 2 units over the course of the army, which is kind of cool. But it doesn't feel, you shoehorned into Bloody Rose, which is kind of like always what you were shoehorned into. It'd be nice for them to mix that up. So,
Yeah. I reckon, guys, since we're on like a slight tangent on, switching factions and helping, do we want to, and we're off the rails, do you want to run with this? Because I've got a bit I could add to it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, because like I noticed, I guess, yeah, because like I've been on the Chaos Knight train for a wee while, basically, because teams, and it just seemed like the best option I had at the time with models and meta. But like one of the things I learned from playing that, right, is just nothing in that list is like, there's like 2 models, sometimes up to 4, that are more valuable than the others, but otherwise pretty much everything's expendable, right? Like just you send a wave of everything. I guess it's like a rush pressure list how it plays, right? Probably similar to Goth Orcs or something like that in a way. And so just not viewing everything as like you put something out and it's going to take a certain amount of resource to deal with, and like calculating the risk of them killing it, not killing it, that sort of thing. When I switched back to Custodes, I saw things slightly differently, and I think it helped. Where it's like, okay, yeah, like rather than being, I got to protect my characters all the time, right? Sometimes you can just protect them through threat saturation. Like I've sent like Trajan off one way on just a mission, be like, yeah, all right, boss, go like beat up this thing, and then go like take a flank on your own, because like the 8 wound, 5 up feel no pain, 2 up, 4 up, tough 5 dude, right? Who can, if need be, blank a failed like big damage save. Someone like that, right, is just that guy can solo a flank, maybe if he has something to help him bodyguard for like a little bit. But and then if you've got, something more important, like you're also shoving a unit of bikes forward, then that's fine. One of the Uni Games, against Sisters, I tried to set up a play and I didn't whiff. I accidentally killed a rhino I was going to use for charge distance. But I was just committed a unit of bikes to be like, cool, I'm move blocking with my like 250 unit of bikes, because actually they're quite difficult to clear. And so Sisters being a trading army, right? It's like you can't super reliably trade them with like any one unit, or like they were hard to kill with melee because of the buffs they set up. And then so you need to expose the shooting. Therefore, I can then like shoot the shooting down in return, and suddenly my shooting's safe because it can stand in the open and have stuff screening. Like, yeah. So viewing a lot more things as expendable when they need to be was something I picked up from the Chaos Knights run. I don't know. Sam, have you had any things that you've learnt like that with your bandwagoning experiences?
Oh, for sure. Like, I think Sisters taught me to be, from someone who didn't have anything to do in the command phase, playing Sisters, like, you changed everything. Like, you have a command phase and you're like, oh, I don't have a movement phase or anything to adjust things for. So that has changed a lot. And it's good to just try different things and adapt along the way and test stuff out. So, but for me right now, like, spoiler, I'm obviously moved house to a temporary place for now until make a big life move. And so I'm not going to get as many games in, so I'm focused in on Tyranids. Between now and Uprising, I'm all Tyranids because it's a collection I have deep in and just want to practice one thing in and be more prioritized in. So that's my focus. So, yeah. Yeah, that was good discussion and good chat. So if you have any questions for us, either the host or as we have interview guests, so this week coming up, we have 2 interviews coming up. So we got some people from South Africa to highlight a recent event they're going to have this weekend, a little fun casual event. So on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Apologies, I don't know what so GMT plus 11 at 8 p.m. So whatever that is in your time in the world. Interviewing the gentleman there, and then we have the wonderful and beautiful Steve Joel coming on next Friday. So not this Friday, but the following Friday. So Friday the 25th at 2 p.m. or 12. Apologies, 12 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time at GMT plus 11. So and there'll be YouTube.
Oh, just to clarify for people, this is at like Australia future time. So if you're in America and you're waiting until the Friday to watch it, unlucky, you're going to miss the live show. Just as a heads up.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yep.
And apologies. I've also forgot to mention. So for the No Retreat GT, there's actually the one of the tables is going to be live streamed for both days. So on the Saturday and Sunday. So the wonderful Scotty
is it?
D49.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. Oh, no.
Scotty D49 will be streaming the event. So we'll be chucking a little description in the Discord and stuff like that. There'll be a description in the this episode down below if you want to watch some high-level gameplay. So traditionally, day one, he just does a range of games, and day two will be the top table. So you'll get some good competitive 40k there to watch and see what it's all like. And hopefully maybe Benny Way will be on there.
Oh, jeez. Sam, I've got a question for Sam.
No, just quickly, Ben. You might get on day one, but like day two, he said high level 40k, so you definitely.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I mean. It's fine. You want to watch someone fumble around with sisters? I'm all right. I'm not that bad with them. I'm pretty good. I'll go all right. I know my rules, right? So it'll be fine. And I love moving the.
You know your rules. That's why you said you'll score a 45 on secondaries after taking leap of faith, right?
No, 45 on primary. I said is actually what I said.
Okay. I'll take the loss for that one. Right, you go for it, dude.
Okay, yeah, you will. No, I'm joking. So, Sam, I wanted to ask you. So, have you played any tourneys recently? I wanted to understand, like, where are you starting off? What's your starting point? No, I'm not because I was, I'm just interested to hear. Like you said, you focus on tourneys, and obviously you talked about uprising. So you're obviously looking to go to take them to uprising. So I'm really interested to hear, like, kind of what direction you're taking.
Yeah, sure. So online. So I haven't played any in real life games with them in a while. Obviously the move and stuff like that. But I've played 3 TTS games or 3 or 4 TTS games with them. And been playing Behemoth actually. So I know most people are going towards Kraken, but I feel Behemoth in what we'll be playing Uprising, which is a quite UKTC dense-esque board, with a lot of like blocked out ruins and stuff like that. The extra speed is nice, but I love that extra strength. I love the idea of that extra strength and being able to have that fight on death with the 2 CP fight on death with a bunch of Raveners or Warriors. I feel can help mitigate a lot of what the CSM and Imperial Knights matchup. So I 100% believe in Uprising there's going to be so many War Dog matchups, and I just need to beat it. I need to be able to beat it. So I feel like becoming Behemoth, which with Raveners get to strength 7.
It's really interesting. It's really interesting you say that. So about Behemoth and Kraken, right? Because Behemoth, when like first opened the book, right, and we're looking, and obviously Leviathan was king, and everyone could see that. But you look at Behemoth and you go, I like everything in this kit. You look at the page and you're like, that's good, that's good, that's good, that's good. That's not as good, but you get it with all of this, so it's still good. Do you know what I mean? And you're just like, it's a good kit with Kraken. You're like, oh, that strat's pretty good, and having an extra AP, that's great. But then you kind of like, and you never use the CP trait, do you, in Kraken? You would go, oh, that'd be good to use that one time. No, I've never seen anyone take it. But yeah, I think you're right about the War Dogs because, mate, I think it's the same like a lot of places like I speak to a few people in Discords and stuff. And it seems to be similar a lot of places in the world, but in Australia at the moment, and it sounds like New Zealand a little bit as well, there are so many knights, like so many. And like literally, so I've been to a lot of events this year, and some of them have been to ones that Sam's gone to as well. And generally knights or chaos, generally chaos knights as well, but Imperial in the last probably 3 or 4 months, especially up in Queensland, like there has been equal, like knights have been up there with Necrons. Like there'd be of both the types, there'll be knight in a 70 person, there'll be like 9 Necrons, 9 knights, and it's just a lot of knights. It's too many knights, too many, get them off.
Sam, what's the because Behemoth is +1 strength is like their always active trait, and what's the other half that they have by default?
The other half they have by default. Gosh, you're gonna make me have to think. Sorry, I'm gonna blank on it. Yeah, I swap it out to them, so they're adapted for an extra +1 save on cover.
Oh yeah, extra cover. Yeah, so if you're running the extra cover, are you running like bigger Tyrant Guard units as well with Behemoth? Because that's like a common thing for people to do, right? Or like at least one build I've heard about. Yeah,
so what that is definitely one build, and like maybe pushing that Tyrant Guard up to a squad of 5. In my current list, I'm only running 3, but I can see it adding up. They've been pretty good. Like I've enjoyed them a lot. So playing around with like 2 5-man Ravener bricks, 2 5-man Warrior bricks, some Tyrant Guard, Reaper Obliterax, and double Neuro. Double Neuro has been great with Synaptic Tendrils on one of them. Together have 3d6 casts. Like 3d6 casts is awesome. And yeah, playing around with things. Definitely some changes I want to make, and we'll see how we go. Like, who knows? Maybe between now and then, I just realize I do need that extra speed because to engage things may be necessary. And we'll see how we go. But it's been fun. It's been fun to play Nids, and I think, as you mentioned, Ben, they play all ranges of the game. It's fun being able to interact with the psychic phase, the shooting phase, and the charge phase and melee phase. So it is.
I mean, I get why people like Kraken, but I feel like Tyranid's secondary game doesn't complement Kraken. Like, I know it does, but you still don't play it. Like, I look at the Kraken, I look at what it can do, and on paper, and you think that would be really good to play defensive 40k with, and you can just kind of like attack when you want at your own kind of tempo. But you kind of can't play like that. So you're playing almost a, I just, Kraken's never been sold to me. Like, I've never really been too into it. So I do understand, like, Raveners are pretty good in Kraken. I get that. I do get it. And I know it wouldn't be terrible. I know it's good. Like, people like it. I just don't think it's for me. That's all. Make that clear. It's not me making an absolutely cold take, but
it's not Snowflake enough for you, mate.
No, it's also it's like, it just feels like you can play really defensive with Kraken because you can always make distance up. So you can always just like be like, I can play defensive until I want to go. But at the same time, you kind of like can only do that one thing, and everything else is kind of left there. And the secondary plan is really like, you need to be up there in people's grill, like 24 inches away, getting some psychic stuff, denying some primary, hitting some banners, like, just, I don't know.
That's good times. And by the way, Towse said 3-roll charges is the other adaptive. I knew I had it. It was like something charge based, but the Kraken spells reroll charges. I was like, that doesn't make sense to have the adaptive be the same. So there we go. Reroll charges. So it's still not bad. Maybe play around with it in the future, but the extra cover is very nice for those T5 bodies with 4-up saves. You need an extra bit of help where you can. So happy days. Cool. Heading into a question. So we've got a bunch of questions from the Patreon and Discord. And if you ever want to join the Patreon and Discord, there's a link down in the description below. So patreon.com/best in tabletop, or the YouTube member area where you can join there as well and ask questions. And if you're joining us later in watching this, feel free to post them down below in the comment section and go crazy. And also, we got merch. So the Best in Tabletop /store has a bunch of shirts and designs. I've ordered some stuff myself, so that should be arriving here soon. And any bit helps the Best in Tabletop network. So happy days. Cool. Heading off into the first question. So we saw recently the FLG announced a circuit, and as part of the circuit, they have buys. So for the LVO, there'll be the buys depending on how you place. Like for round 1, round 2, round 3, how well you place, you'll get some buys. Apologies. Do you think that's a good idea to have these buys for the LVO? What do you think?
No.
Do you think
next question.
Dude, I don't know. Like, LVO is fake to me. Not it's fake, but like, it's not a concept I'd put any thought into because it's not seemed super feasible for me to go there. And now with like potential WTC, like there's a fair chance it'll be like, I'm gonna go there instead of LVO. So I don't know. I don't know if I care or if it affects me. I'm really just like crowd goes mild on that front. Yeah. What about you? Do you have more thoughts?
It's interesting. Like, I think there's definitely a conversation to be had, and it's interesting as well. Like, sometimes you see in football, like in real life sports and esports as well, when someone's given a buy. So there was an excellent example. Innes talked about when League of Legends, they talk about how during the qualification stages, like some of the teams were ranked 5 through 8. Apologies, I can't remember the exact example.
I'll go over the example if you want, Sam.
Go for it.
Yeah. So basically, for the Worlds for it, there were in esports, it's common to have different regions. So there'll be EU, China, North America, Asia Pacific, some others those are the main ones though. And so it'll be, say, the top 2 or 3 from those big regions. So top 2 or 3 Korean, Chinese, EU, NA, yada yada yada. And then there'll be they sort of go into the tournament, and then there's play-ins for, say, the teams just below those ones in the big regions, and like the third or fourth, I can't remember how many it was from the bigger regions, alongside some teams from, say, South America and maybe Asia Pacific and other smaller regions in the scene would have play-ins where you sort of have like a mini tournament before to see if you make it to the main tournament, like a qualifier type thing. And Innes is saying that teams that come in from the big regions through the play-in series tend to outperform the maybe not the top team from their region, but like the teams that were just getting in but not needing play-ins. They'll tend to do worse than the teams that go through the play-ins, because like it's a warm-up. It gets you zoned in, dialed in. Like if these events have like a fixed meta, which will be the same for like LVO, right? LVO is like, this is the meta. It's a snapshot of all the rules are the same. Whereas maybe outside of that, you're practicing different things. It'll be on the same terrain in the same venue, same time zone if you're traveling. Like, it's good prep to get you in the zone, focused, dialed in, that sort of thing. Theoretically, you should have more straightforward matchups the first few rounds if you're one of these top players. That's a big theoretical, because you can have stuff like, unfortunately, John Lennon in the most recent LVO, right, where he pairs someone I can't remember who's pretty good round one, and
Matt
like
Evans.
just gets vibe checked by Custodes round one, I think. No, he had Custodes, got vibe checked by something else.
Playing against Tyranids, and Tyranids vibe checked Custodes.
Yeah, right. Sometimes stuff like that happens, which sucks with the buys, but like, yeah, that was Innes's really good point on stat check, where like, even if you have the option, you might not be beneficial. It might not be good to take it. Like Anthony as well was saying that if he got presented with the option, he's not sure he would take it. I'm just going to echo those guys because they probably have more vested interest in this particular question.
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion, and like I think you definitely need to have sort of that. You still have to keep warm, like in the NFL, like they have like sometimes the top team's going to play off, and it's not. It is sometimes that people that have that bye, they lose the next round because obviously they have that week off, and maybe they prepared a lot more and got time off their feet, but maybe they need that ongoing effect or stuff like that. And
momentum is a thing, right?
Yeah. I mentioned by Jake, buys only make sense if you're seeding the whole bracket. That's not something you can do at LVO, or they're not doing right now. That makes sense. Like obviously in tennis, I know they have the seeding per se, and like the top seeds will miss that first one when it's like a top seed. So I know it's obviously come from Magic. The Gathering is like an example of where they do those buys for the top seeds. So it'd be interesting to see how it goes out. But also an interesting discussion. Glenn mentions it also may potentially skew the meta. So those people that can miss the buys, they'll get to miss some of those gatekeeper lists. So as we talk about the 13 War Dogs, maybe they don't happen in the later rounds. So you can maybe not consider it if you get those buys.
So what we need, that I think definitively proves that this is a bad system, because imagine if this system existed 2 LVOs back, right? We would have never had the YOLO White Scars meme. So this system's terrible, because if it stands in the way of a single YOLO White Scars moment, then I don't want a part of it.
Fair enough.
Next question. Do we actually answer the question? No, we didn't answer the question. The question, Sam, was...
I think we did pretty much.
Pacific do we think? No, what events in the Pacific do we think should be? So we didn't.
No, I forgot that was actually the question.
Which is kind of interesting, because you'd default to saying Uprising Adelaide, right? But that's like a week before LVO. So how do you make that work?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. So what do you think, Towse? Like, if you had to nominate a New Zealand event to be part of the qualified? So in addition, apologies everyone. So there was FLG announced that Oceania will get 2 events that maybe can help become a qualifier for this. So Towse, what do you think maybe one of the 2 New Zealand events would be?
Uni Games RTT, October.
Yeah, easy. No, so I'd love to say if I managed to book a big event, mine, but realistically, probably the Kraken GT, which because the timing now that's a bit tight as well for like this weekend, then LVO. That's tight to book flights and stuff. So I'm not familiar. It should be a North Island event, because like the Carl Pierce says Pint Hammer. It should be a North Island event, because there's like Christchurch to get there, right? And we can fly, so pretty easily from here to Auckland. So something probably in Auckland. And so I don't know, maybe something like Lakes of Blood. I know that's not in Auckland, but that's a pretty big one, and that was like a few months back. Yeah, I'm going to say Lakes of Blood because that seems all right timing wise, and it's a big event. Cool. But I honestly don't know if it should be New Zealand one. It should probably just be like one on either coast of Australia.
That's a good answer. Yeah, I think in Australia there's a couple of events which could qualify. So like Terracon, which happens in June, July each year. That's a big event that happens in Narracourt, South Australia. Ratcon, so Ratcon, even though it's like sometimes specific missions or radicalism, that's a big enough event in Victoria which could fire and be eligible. Alternatively, also that's coming up in a couple of weeks, and we're looking to highlight as well as the Mensa Masquerade. So it's a big Victorian event, and it's like a well known singles event where all the top players from Australia come to. So I think it's about to be like.
That's probably difficult for timing though, right? Like if you win that and you're like, cool, I've got a qualifier, but you don't. What about Wait, what was the one that the Kraken guys went to that we interviewed them about? Was that the one that you just mentioned, Terracon?
Terracon.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, definitely Terracon. That's I think we locked that in as one of them.
Yeah. I'll just have to wait and see, and hopefully we can do it. So be either great. And alternatively, also the properly cocked events in Wellington, New Zealand. So because Steve Joel definitely has clout, and he's got that FLG insight, obviously, and as you know, so he'll also have a new podcast coming out, which we will hope to be highlighting on next week's episode when we chat to him. So happy days. Cool. The next question we have is, what are your thoughts on delaying the Imperial Guard Codex until Jan for public tournaments, for GW tournaments? So obviously we have the
garbage calls.
I got a good take here. Can we go? So I might seem like completely crazy for saying this, right? But like we've had a tournament due to shenanigans and misorganization, right? Where we've had like 2 versions of the Orc Codex at the same tournament because of stuff. And I don't actually think that's a problem. It sucks for stat collecting, right? But like if it's like, cool, you can come along, maybe if you phrase it as you can use either, then people get a little bit gamey. That might be a problem. But like with Guard, I think it's pretty clear, right? Some people might not have the stuff in the new book and might want to just take whatever. I just let people play with the toys. Make it clear. If someone can't source the book, be like, okay, these are the options. You need to provide the rules, or you can just play with Guard and the old stuff, right? If that makes sense. Like, so yeah, let people use the new book. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I get what they're trying to do. It makes it nice and clear and obvious, but it is a bit funny. It was mentioned as well. So, like when the Votan book came out, and you can only have limited units, you're still able to use that limited edition codex for the GW events. But yeah, it's a bit funny how that was allowed. But then, like the Orcs Codex, which was limited release, you couldn't use that. It's a bit funny, and I get it. Maybe for supply issues, it makes sense, but.
They probably just learned from the Orc one, right? That people weren't happy with the delaying of the Orc Codex. That was the example we had. It was with the Orcs Codex, where some people had the new one, some people maybe didn't even know it was out because, like, honestly, I don't look at when GW has releases in New Zealand because usually there's enough like delays and shipping nonsense. Just like, I don't know, it's here, it's fake until it's here. So I might get vibe checked by Votan at my next event, but for that reason. But yeah, so let people play with the things and. I lost the point I was going to make, so let's move on.
Yeah, I think it's like if I was to host a tournament in which also Imperial Guard Codex was eligible, I'd 100% allow it. Like I think it's fine, but I can see where the precedent is made just to avoid, like especially if there's such short issues and like people legitimately can't get it. Like I know the Orc box, people just couldn't get it even if they tried their hardest. It was hard, but I'm pretty sure the Votan box, for the most part, people could get that book. And I haven't heard anything about Guard being really hard to collect. So, and I know in the Age of Sigmar with the Slaves of Darkness box that they've set their precedent of no, you're not allowed to use this codex until public release. So, look, it's a decision made, but maybe behind the scenes you're allowed to, and then publicly for GW events, no. But that's okay. So, anyways, cool.
All right, next question. Oh, just real quickly though, I do think the move that people broadly did of Votan, you can't use stuff that the models aren't released for. I think that was a good call.
That's literally the call I've made for the upcoming new state masters that I'm running, and the RTT that go with it is that you just can't use the stuff that isn't out yet model wise. Old Rough Riders are fine because they are a model. And they should. yeah, like I don't see it's not been a precedent that's ever been used before, and then it's suddenly being used now, which is totally negligible to the player base, and really like sort your business out and actually sell the book. Do you know what I mean? Like because then people are just going to get it, and I'm not one to stop people from saying, look, mate, I can't let you play with your toys. Yeah, I know your book's out, and 10th edition's like 10 months away, but you're gonna have to wait another 4 months, and you're gonna have to wait another 4 months, and then play. You can play it for it, and then I just know it's not. I'm not willing to do that. They can use their codex. They can't use because I've already set that precedent, because that's what I did with Votan. And I think that's kind of fair, because we don't actually know how big those models are yet. Everyone thinks they know because they've looked at pictures, next to it, but no one actually properly knows. Like not that I've seen anyway. I could be totally wrong, but.
And it's not like guard players haven't waited long enough for their book right now, right? Like,
exactly.
The old book's old enough to go to primary school, dude. Like, come on. All right.
Oh, that's an interesting next question, mate. That's an interesting. I like this one.
Yeah, so obviously with Imperial Guards, the Codex has come out, but we also have a bunch of balanced data slate things that have still the indirect nerfs or buffs per se, and then the Armor of Contempt, and is it Hand of the Emperor, the way 6 to hit auto wound. So what do you think they should all stay, or should some of them go, some of them stay? What do you think, Towse? What's your speculation?
If I had to make a ruling to let people play a new guard book for the event, I would say you don't get any of the balanced data slate stuff. That's how I would let it go. I don't know quite if that's what the question is asking, but I would say you don't get any of the data slate stuff, because you've got one set of new shiny toys. There are some stuff that overlaps, like the 6 to hit auto wound when your default regiment is also 6 to hit auto wound and count as a 6. Like, I don't even know how you're meant to rule that, right? Like, I assume it's just like, cool, it's a moot point. Like, you double rule that do the same thing. It's not like you can have 1 6 to hit turn into 2 wounds. So yeah, like there's some level of overlap. Just say you don't get anything for now. Sorry, we'll wait and see. There's obviously some stuff of, because I think I can't remember, I'm not super familiar with the book, but I think a fair few other things have precedent. Like there's the all is dust type things on like big tanks, like rust tanks, so they get +1 save against damage 1. And that sort of interacts with the with Armor of Contempt. It's like an adjacent rule, so that suggests that maybe they shouldn't get that. At least the Rogal Dawn and the Super Heavies have had like a toughness increase from memory, which is probably stronger than having Armor of Contempt, especially given how like then it's a different form of durability compared to, say, minus damage or invols or high armor save. So yeah, I think if the indirect thing stays, that'll just be unhealthy for the game. I don't think there's many people that like indirect. If indirect is, there's the whole saying of, if indirect is worth spamming, it's bad for the game. And
yeah, I think that's a very good policy of just like saying no balance style set changes. I think what's reasonable maybe, like, and it happened with this Chaos Space Marine Codex, was Armor and Contempt was still allowed when the new book came out. So I think that may be able to stay, but the other two I'd definitely change and say no, they no longer exist. So yeah, what do you think, Ben?
I think basically I'd go all or nothing like Towse, I think. I probably will have to make that call if it is not done for me. So I probably will go there'll be people listening to this but I'll probably go all or nothing. The indirect change is just, I would sacrifice, even if I was wrong, I'd be happy to give them everything else, but they're definitely not getting the indirect. They're just, it's just, I'm just not allowing that into that tournament unless GW obviously say that they keep it. And then I can't, then obviously that overrides me, and that's fine. But I just don't see a world where that happens. Well, I don't see a world where it happens, but there's a large chunk of that of me is actually hope that it doesn't happen, so basically the same.
Yeah, I think it's until GW makes a call or says something, we sort of have to wait and see. I think as sad as it is, like doing the nothing or sort of doing the one which doesn't benefit the player as much per se, it makes the most sense if that helps.
Look,
yeah,
because like
it benefits all the players that are playing in that event at that time without a ruling, more so than just the, however many guard players there are.
And if you're taking stuff away from people, don't half-ass it. Also, like, how novel would it be, right, for a player to be able to go in?
Don't make things complicated,
Yeah, but also, how novel will it be for someone to be able to go in and the only rules they need is their book? They don't need a balanced data slate or an FAQ
nice.
or that. It's just like, cool, your book. Play what's in the book. And then, like, plus that way, you say, cool, we're doing this. GW will put something out at some point, and then we can go with that once we know. Like, because that way, it's not like you're going to get used to playing without something and be like, get used to playing with something, and then GW say, actually, nah. This way, it's like, okay, cool. You don't get anything, but you might get like a surprise buff later if GW rules differently.
So from Timmy, we've got, do we think we will be using a new chapter approved for Uprising? That's our big LVO equivalent to our overseas listeners. Or is this the meta we end up the season with? It's definitely the meta we end the season with. Even if that thing comes out, which I'm pretty sure, not pretty sure, I know for a fact that last year it was for sale at the LVO because it came out the Saturday of the LVO. Remember, lists I've got moved back 2 days, about
that was
3 weeks before.
And GSC.
Right, okay. So regardless, it was for sale on that day. There's no way that is going to... I think there's even been little hints in FLG announcements or GW announcements, little hint. But yeah, this is it, mate. This is it. I'm generally happy about that, but I'm not happy about Zeech Flamers. That it's just like having Dark Techno back again, in my opinion. But they can go in more armies, which I think is actually the problem, because I think if they could only go in demons, in my opinion, which obviously you can't do that. They've got to go with Zeech. They've got to keep with that book. I don't want that taken out of it. But if they were just in demons, it wouldn't be as bad. But they're just everywhere now. They're with so many other things. I am already over those things. I think like there was an RTT at my local store. I think it was last week or the week before. I think that was the week, just Saturday just gone, and there was only a 12-person RTT. It ended up, and yeah, it had like, I'm pretty sure there's 36 flamers out of a 12-people event, and I was just like, gross, that's they've got to go. But anyway, that's just me. I just had to get it out. It's like Tourette's for me about flamers. Just get it out and let go. Move on. Oh yeah, Tim. I was going to say, mate. I don't even know what to say. Good luck, mate.
Just have your 18 flamers and start from there. So, I think as sad as it is, I would actually love to sort of have the new packet before LVO, or Uprising, which
I'd love it, but we ain't getting it. Yeah. We ain't getting it.
Uprising occurs the week before LVO for people who aren't aware. So happens just beforehand, so that people, if they are financially invested enough, they can attend both. It's just not happening, sadly. So this is what we've got. But potentially, hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe there's like an emergency balanced data slate beforehand that happens between December and Jan. We can always believe about something.
I think it's quite likely that could happen, Yeah, I do. I honestly do. Yeah. I think there's no way. I do think they give a tiny touch to something. I hope it's Flamers, but even if they don't, I do think there'll be something that it won't be a data slate, but there might be an FAQ at the beginning of January or something. Do you know what I mean?
Dude, another Space Marine secondary will get an average of 2 more points per game.
I don't think it'll go that far. I think they'll just do something to they'll just do something to bad stuff and bring it down, because you've got to remember there's like the Votan will be in full swing in about a week, 2 weeks.
That was not a serious comment, dude.
No, like fully full swing, and then you'll have Then you have guard coming out. I'm sure they might need a couple of things touched up, because they're going to do, there's gonna be like there's those Cascarins, right? Like surely they don't stay like that as well. Like they are bonkers. So surely like them flamers and then something in Votan probably gets touched, right? Like surely just a little thing before we head into that. I could be totally wrong, but Segs is
Alrighty.
quite well into a Oscar/Glenn's question. Yeah, I know who you are, Glenn. Which is what are your top 3 factions to take the Bickies at Uprising Adelaide? What about you, Sam? I want to hear yours first. Yeah, top 3 factions. What's going to be like the podium setup kind of thing, or what do you think is going to be the 3 factions you think are going to win?
Sorry, apologies. So Bickies, by the way, take the Bickies means like to take a win, to win.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I totally forgot you'd have to explain that.
Yeah, so to take the Bickies means to win it all, or like go very well. I just thought so. Like, obviously, when you go Uprising, like you got to think who are the top dogs to people you got to beat. Like Matt Morrisoli, Liam Hackett, Hayden Walduck, all the WT Australian people will be there, and we know Liam Hackett is going to allegedly has focused down to 3 or 4 factions and is going to become a faction specialist in those areas. So, and I just realized then Liam plays Thousand Sons and Flamers is going to be a thing. So Zinch, if they aren't adjusted by anything, I'm sure there may be some build that Liam takes there. But like,
dude, his Necrons haven't been nerfed though. He's just like
Necrons
crushed people at double. Oh no, that might not be as good on Uprising terrain compared to WTC. So maybe not. But yeah,
I know he's still practicing Necrons quite a lot at the moment. So okay. I don't know if that's like a thing that should be carried on, but I know he's still playing them. So because he, like, as you know, in a couple of weeks we'll be covering Mensa, and I know Liam Hackett's on his way down there. So it'll be interesting to see what he takes there. That by no means represents what Liam will take to his next event at all, but we might get a little bit more of a hint about what he's going to take to Uprising. So what factions do you reckon, Sammy? You've danced around it. I know you're trying to think by using words, right? I know you are, but you got to commit. That's what I do, so I can see it.
So I think Tau, Eldar, and Tyranids. I think those are going to be the top 3.
Tyranids.
Because I'm going to be
there. That's wild.
No,
I love that. Yeah, boy.
I think that's pretty fair. I reckon you got to put CSM in there as a shout because like Morrisoli and some others and stuff, right? Plus they seem fairly strong. I'm gonna say Votan as well, just because of like they're pretty strong. I actually don't think there's a good chance to have another pass. I would have said something along the lines of GSC, because that works both for like the fact that Eric's probably going to take them and like be a massive threat.
Eric's not got a ticket currently.
Well, Ben.
Sorry, mate. I'm just
because it changes my guess, but also for the memes of they've literally got Stealer in the name, right? So they're going to be the best at retrieving Bickies. So yeah. Now, so CSM. What was the other one I said? Oh yeah, Votan because that and GSC. So I don't know. There's so many things though, right? Because it's like Thousand Sons of Flamers could, and so could CSM, Tower. Bugs still are like a thing that can go there. Either Flavor of Nights could just like get the run and like go first and roll saves when they need to. Which I think's cool. The fact that there's like a bunch of options, but yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. What do you think, Ben?
I think Votan. Not. Maybe I'll leave that one with me. So I do think we're going to have. So I think that if he takes Necrons could do it. Liam, I do think Demons or some sort of Chaos soup, but I don't think CSM on their own are with it. Now, when Guard enter the meta as well as Votan, I actually think that they are actually pushed down in power quite substantially, in my opinion. It's substantial enough for them probably not to Uprising. They won't get into the top 5 without someone like Soli or a faction expert piloting them. In my opinion, I don't think they've got. I think Guard will definitely be in the top 3 because I do know. Well, I've got a feeling I know a couple of very good players who are going to be picking up Guard surely. So I wouldn't be. I definitely think Guard will be in the top 5 or top 3. So I'll probably be Guard. Towse. Because I still think Towse bonkers, right? And I still think they're really good. I think they're the best. They're the best. Pretty much one of the best armies currently right now. So, and I want to put Votan in there as well, but I think it's going to have to be Guard. Yeah, do we want to put Votan? Oh, I'm stressed. I'm getting too into it. So, all right, let's just do
Votan, Towse, Ben's final answers.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Guard, definitely.
Right,
I reckon Guard's
this
going to win it.
Ben doesn't think Adelaide has enough terrain.
No.
What's that?
Well, you said Guard, Votan, and Towse, so this just then Ben doesn't think.
No,
Adelaide
I don't think Guard. I think Guard. Still, if piloted by a good player on good terrain, are still going to do a heap of work. Like, yeah. I don't think it's damage wise. They can just do it. They can just do. They're just pests. They're going to be pests. Like I've played against like a leaked version of it. Not leaked, but like all the rules we've seen so far. And that turret keyword's really good, man. And I think the more Russes it's on, the more of a problem it's going to be when you play them. Like because if you have the more Russes you have in your army, they have good guns, and you try and tag it, and you're only shutting down like 35% of their guns. Like, and they're not even the good ones. Do you know what I mean? Like that turret gun, if they good Russes
can
have
the turret shoot out
gun,
of combat or something?
Yeah, it can, and it gets +1 to hit too. So
that's pretty wild.
Yeah,
what was it? I just listened to the Adams like Art of War Down Under thing with John reviewing it, and like the Hydra hype, dude, of like a Hydra plus 3 CP can kill both Sun Sharks in the tower player's turn, because it's got like an intercept strat and like if it shoots on death strat. So like, okay, 2 Sun Sharks, boom, 1 Sun Shark. Oh, I died.
I'm always happy to hear that.
No Sun Sharks. Yeah.
Anything that gets rid of flies from the game, I'm all for.
Yeah.
Anyways, but if you want to hear more Guard chatter, like just wait for the full release, and I'm sure, and also Best in Tabletop have done with the recent Best in Faction podcast, they went through the Guard book as well, and this week in 40K they did a review of the Guard book as well, so with Colin and Chuck. So, but
also,
before our final.
Just a quick thing. The Best in Tabletop Discord has recently made a Guard faction specific channel as well. So they have escaped Imperium. I don't know what belongs in that channel anymore. I think it's just AdMech. And so Guard have their own channel. So yeah, if you're interested in that chat, then yeah, do the links and the things that Sam said earlier. Hit the buttons.
Absolutely.
I've already been posting Gene Stealer cult stuff in there already. So
yeah.
Oh, and the Guard joke. Yeah.
Cool. So last question before we have to close out for the night. So Glenn has asked, do we know if Uprising will be using WTC style terrain in addition to their own designs? They were selling WTC terrain alongside the Uprising stuff with tickets. So yes, so as Glenn mentioned, so for Uprising they sell packets alongside, so players can get extra discounts on terrain and stuff like that. And they did have a WTC set. So, but I do not believe they'll be using WTC style terrain with it. Uprising Adelaide have that style terrain. Adam Napier's developed, and the team have developed that style terrain, and they have more than enough terrain for their boards with it. And it's going to be a set format. They may add 1 or 2 things, like the crates might be the WC style ones. And they may be a bit different,
surely.
But
they've got lots of events. They've got lots of events anyway.
Oh, okay.
I know that Adam's been working on like a cargo. He showed me some photos of like in the WTC is just has like the formations of crates. So he's what he's done is he's modeled like an MDF1 complete chunk, right, which has got like the cargo containers in it, because I think it's a lot of swearing in this message, so I couldn't actually quote the direct message, but the direct message was, I'd already made, and a lot of naughty words, this many crates, like hundreds, like 400 crates. And then I realized, why don't I just design like something which looks like all the crates and it's just the crate formation? And so he did that, and he's already made like 8. While we were talking, he'd already made 8 of them. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, he's just trying to save himself time, because they've got a lot of terrain, those boys. But put it in perspective, I think Uprising last year was about 140, 137, 140. Or something like that. Was that right, Sam? You attended last year. I actually got stuck at home with ISO in isolation because of my wife had COVID, so I couldn't go. But
yeah, I think it's gone to 140. But I think it's announced today. Did you hear, Ben? How many?
Yeah, Yeah, they've just extended it to 250, haven't they? So
yeah, so 250 players. So I think probably the biggest 40K event Australia's ever had.
100%. I'm pretty sure Mensa. I think Mensa. No, sorry, not Mensa. There's another tournament in Victoria. It's called the Arc, yeah, and that's very much a narrative event or a themed event. Something we will cover the next time it comes on. So watch this space, but because it's very interesting, it's a pretty long-standing. From what I hear, about 10 years ago, that did get about 200, just over 200 players. But that wasn't a seriously competitive event, and Australia wasn't. I don't think back in 10 years ago was particularly had a particularly thriving competitive community. So I do know, however, this is massive. Like this is like the whole of Australia is literally buzzing, and like you talk to like people you haven't talked to from WA. I was and they're like, yeah, we'll see you there. You going? Yeah. And it's like, yeah, we've got like 12 of us going, or they've got like their whole groups going or something like that, from their local area. And it's just awesome. It's going to be so many people that we, haven't seen for a long time there. It's going to be, I can't wait. Just booked flights, booked accommodation. Can't wait. These two are going to be there. So it's going to be great. And we've got Alex, the American. Who's kind of like, he's been very busy, manages to pop on for a quick guest cameo, like about 20 minutes notice every now and then. He's even coming, so that's really exciting. Can't wait.
Yeah. I had a thing I was going to say. Oh yeah. Just got like really quickly going back to the crate thing as well. Like making crates versus like ruin crates take a while to cut and manufacture compared to ruins. Like a stack of like 6 crates, which is like a stack to do 1 L, a bit bigger than a ruin, is about the same. That's the same as like 5 Ls, like a similar time and material required. Like
what people don't appreciate about crates as well is when you're doing mass painting, right? So when we paint we'll paint as many tables as we can, and just like we'll get my front lawn and we'll just put everything on there. Crates are a pain in the ass because you can only do like, you say you can do 3 sides, but you never do them that well. You only ever do the top that well, and then when you turn them over, you've got to touch them up. With a ruin, you pick it up with your gloved hand and you just, with your mask on, you just spray. With a crate, it's just painful. You've got to roll them over, and then you've got to do this other bit, and you're not even getting much value for all your time, right? Because you need about, if you're doing WTC, you can need up to 16 per table. Do you know what I mean? So it's like
max of 12.
No, max of 12, right? But it's still too many.
That's how I know.
It's still too many.
Nah, Ben. Oh, dude, that makes me actually so happy. I've got my system for painting stuff where I paint it before I cut the boards out. It's just like, it's a breeze.
Well, but not all of us, mate, have a laser cutter and the technical ability to be able to just, design our own ruins. Look, I've designed some Eldar ruins, and then no, we can't all do that, mate. Some of us have got to buy that stuff, So, and then we've got to paint it all and pay people in Domino's pizza value, value menu. No prawns.
What other current thing would you want? So, anyways,
Sam, should we take us out on that note of like Ben's run out of stuff and he's just roasting me?
Awesome.
I can keep going. How long have we got?
No, I know. That's why I want to get us out.
Thanks everyone for listening. This has been episode 17. Several false starts and several false continues throughout the show. But thank you for listening. Hope you have a wonderful day, and talk to you all soon. Catch up.
Thanks for putting up with our nonsense and interacting in chat.